Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Reviews presented by Quantum Podcast. I will be your host, Chris, as always, and this is a show about all things movies and TV. Well, it's showtime, everybody. We're going to be talking about Mortal Kombat 2, the sequel to this reboot phase of the film side of the popular gaming franchise Mortal Kombat. I've been really looking forward to watching this film and talking about it on the podcast, and here we are today, finally going it over. It's been out for about a week or so we're going to be talking about the budget, the box office so far, what's challenges it's got coming up as far as other blockbusters, such as the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which comes out this Friday, which could be a left in the dust type of performance, so we'll see how Mortal Kombat stacks up against the new Star Wars film, but it's going pretty strong so far, and I'm excited to talk about it today. We've got a jam-packed news and reactions segment today also, so we'll jump into that here shortly. But first, a couple of reminders at the top of the episode. You can watch the show every week at youtube.com/thecinemacviews. You can also listen to the audio version on whichever podcast network you deem worthy. We're around the world, so you can find us anywhere on the podcasting platforms. You can also check out the social media pages on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. We've been posting a lot of shorts on there, all sorts of news and popcorn ratings as well. So there's a lot of stuff on there. So go ahead and follow those pages. Support the show. Appreciate everybody that's been supporting the show so far. Also, check out the official website of the podcast, cinematic-reviews.com, where you can set up your own profile and rate the movies like I do on each and every episode with the awesome popcorn rating scale. You can also watch all the episodes, all the shorts, challenge yourself to some trivia games on your movies and TV's knowledge. All sorts of stuff on there as well, and more to come. I'm always revamping that website, expanding it, evolving it, making it bigger and better, so go ahead and check that out as well. You can check out everybody else's reviews too when they write. There's a couple of people that have wrote reviews on there already, so you can go ahead and see what they think of your favorite movies as well. So with that, let's head into news and reactions for a jam-packed segment today. So first bit of news for all of you Adam Sandler fans out there. It's time to get chocolate wasted. Grown Ups 3 is officially in the works at Netflix. Adam Sandler and all of his friends, Chris Rock, Kevin James, David Spade, Rob Schneider, are set to return in their appropriate roles in the Grown Ups universe. I love the first two films. My family loves watching it together. My mom is a huge Adam Sandler fan, so this is going to really get her excited for a third film. And this is something that Sandler has been kind of circling around the last few years, and now it looks like Netflix is ready to bring back Grown Ups. So we'll see what is in store there. I don't think there's really any news on like what story they're going with in here, but I'm not surprised with the popularity that was at Happy Gilmore 2 that Sandler would want to, dive back into one of his other franchises that has made quite a bit of money over the years, and that would be the Grown Ups franchise. So we're getting a third one there. Super excited at coming to you on Netflix. No date yet either. So my guess, with it being in the works now, we're looking at a possible 2027, 2028 release date. Might be, back half of 2027, depending on how long production, filming, and all that takes. So we could see a fall 2027 release for Grown Ups 3. Other bit of news for all of you James Bond aficionados out there. The auditions for the next James Bond have officially started. Looks like Game of Thrones casting vet Nina Gold has been tapped to find the next 007. Daniel Craig was the previous actor to play James Bond, so we'll see who all is in store for auditions. Looks like they've had an audition already. Let me pull up the name here. Looks like Sunset Boulevard star Tom Francis has officially auditioned for the role of James Bond, the 26-year-old British actor. This was as of last Saturday is when that they announced that he did have his audition. So the first audition is in the books. We'll see who they end up tapping. I think this will be kind of a long-ish process where they're going to audition a ton of different actors. They're going to take time to really look at which actor brings the best to the table on their version of James Bond that they want to bring on to screen. Will they go younger? Will they go a little bit older like they did Daniel Craig? I would hope that they would go a little younger. Looks like they already are going younger with 26-year-old actor Tom Francis. So that could be the right approach to find an actor within their mid-20s so that they can sign on for 10 plus years in this role. But I'm super excited. I love the James Bond franchise. It's kind of like a big event. You know, you don't get them every year or every other year like a Marvel movie. It's kind of an event when a Bond movie does come out. So I'm super excited for that. We will definitely be reviewing that film when it comes out, and we'll probably have a whole James Bond season leading up to it where we'll review a bunch of different James Bond movies from different actors. You know, Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, Timothy Dalton, Daniel Craig, of course. So a lot of fun stuff coming for the James Bond franchise. Next, we got a couple of reactions today. One from Apple and one that is currently in theaters. So let's hop over to Apple TV, where we're going to be talking about Jake Gyllenhaal's Presumed Innocent. This, of course, is a remake or a reimagining of not just the movie with Harrison Ford, but also the book. This was originally a book before the Harrison Ford movie came out. You know, one of Harrison's more loved performances, of course. I really liked the Harrison Ford Presumed Innocent film. I was excited about this one solely because Jake Gyllenhaal is in it. I think we didn't really need this show because we have the Harrison Ford film that's not really that old. You know, I think it came out in... what was the year? 1990. So, I mean, you're looking at 30-ish years, maybe a little bit more. But looks like season 2 is already coming in September this year. This was a 2024 release for season 1. But Jake Gyllenhaal won't be coming back either for season 2, which means that they'll probably do like a True Detective style where this will be a different case every season with a different cast potentially, maybe some recurring characters to kind of universe build. But with Jake Gyllenhaal not coming back as Rusty Savage, it makes me think that they're going to go the True Detective route where they'll have a different cast in a different case about, could be anything, murder, adultery, rape, whatever it may be. But like I said, this is a show that we really didn't need, or I don't think really anybody asked for. But what really attracted me was Jake Gyllenhaal being casted. It's really the only reason why I watched it. I would much rather watch the Harrison Ford film. It's much superior to this. I know it's a reimagining, but they did change quite a bit in here. You know, I'm going to spoil it because it's been out for a couple of years now. So if you haven't seen this, you got to go watch it. But they changed it, you know, where in the original movie, and I haven't read the book, so I don't know how the book ends, if the movie or show was more accurate than that. But in the Harrison Ford film, it ended up being his wife who killed the woman that he was working with and having an affair with. Where in this one, they kind of led into it could be the wife, but then they pivot, and it ends up being Rusty's daughter, which in the Harrison Ford film, he just had a young son. He didn't have a son and a daughter. So that was a big change there. Probably so that they could change the outcome of this case to where it was his daughter. But then there's some other things too, like Rusty ended up being not guilty instead of having, you know, a mistrial like it was in the Harrison Ford film. They made the Jake Gyllenhaal version of Rusty look like a real piece of shit, whereas the Harrison Ford version of Rusty Savage was a little more, I don't want to say enduring, but a little more accepting by the audience. This one, they really painted the Gyllenhaal character a real piece of shit. And that's not the vibe I got when I watched the Harrison Ford one. He was essentially a true victim here, where he had an affair. His wife knew about it. He did have, you know, obsessions with her after their breakup, but he acted the correct way through the entire court process. You know, he was stuck with his wife. He was loyal to his son. But in here, Jake Gyllenhaal seemed like a real piece of shit that really only wanted to find the killer because he was in love with this woman, not because he wanted to clear his name. Whereas Harrison Ford was more clearing his name and trying to find out who actually committed this murder, because he is a lawyer at the end of the day. He wanted justice to be served. Gyllenhaal was more self-centered. So that was a big change for me too that I noticed watching the show versus the movie. But looking at the popcorn rating for Presumed Innocent, let me pull it up here on the cinematic website. 3 popcorns is what I gave the TV show. Let me pull up, what did I give the movie? 5 popcorns. So I really do like the Harrison Ford movie. The show, not so much. We'll see if I do watch season 2. Season 1 didn't really leave me excited for another season. It was kind of like this could have been just a limited series run. We didn't need multiple seasons, but they could be going the True Detective route where they do a different case with a different cast every time. But Gyllenhaal not coming back really makes me not want to watch season 2. So, but if you are curious and if you are a Jake Gyllenhaal fan, go check out Presumed Innocent on Apple TV Plus today. Next up, we have one more reaction, and yes, it is a Jake Gyllenhaal film. And this is Guy Ritchie's newest film, In the Gray. I saw this past weekend, and I loved it. I thought it was a great, fun comedy / action drama thriller with Henry Cavill playing Sid, Jake Gyllenhaal playing Bronco. Gyllenhaal and Cavill have kind of been Guy Ritchie's dudes for the last, this last recent run of his movies. Previously it was like Charlie Hunnam. Matthew McConaughey was a guy for him. Hugh Grant's always popping up in Guy Ritchie's movies. But Gyllenhaal, after doing The Covenant, has kind of been Guy Ritchie's dude. Henry Cavill, after doing, what was it? Gentleman Warfare or something like that. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. He's been kind of Guy Ritchie's dude as well. And Gyllenhaal and Cavill had really good chemistry together. I hope they do more projects together. They had a really good kind of argumentative but lovey, brotherly type relationship here as the 2 bodyguards to Isa Gonzalez's character Rachel, who is this high profile lawyer who basically gets hired to legally and sometimes illegally force these billionaires to pay off their debts to these big corporations that help them get started with their own companies. And that's where Manny Salazar comes in. He is the billionaire that Rachel has been tasked to force to pay Rosamund Pike's company. She plays Bobby Sheen. We also get Fisher Stevens, who I've seen in a lot of stuff as Salazar's, go-to guy, lawyer. It's kind of like his Rachel in a sense, but this film was really, really fun. I really like the premise of it, where they go to this island. Cavill and Gyllenhaal are training their team to perform these crazy tasks to get an exit strategy ready for Rachel. They have 3 different options. One that's super easy, one that's kind of in the middle, and 2 that's the absolute hardest way to get off the island. Of course, that's how the movie is going to end, is they're going to be forced to use the hardest route there just to have more stakes in the movie. But it was a really cool setup. We get to go through all 3 different training phases with a different team, faster, faster, faster. It's all about speed. You got to get her off the island as soon as possible. And it's really fun. The whole team's got really awesome nicknames like Sid, Bronco. There was Baker. There was Gucci. I think one was Marino. It was just really fun kind of little nicknames that they had for each other. And I love this scene, and I've talked about this exhausting everybody, I'm sure. My favorite scene in the movie is when they get onto the island, the team is getting introduced to all the weapons and what they have to do. Gyllenhaal runs down this giant list, and Guy Ritchie was really cool, and he like spelt it all out in wording on the screen as Gyllenhaal was talking. And we get to the rocket launcher part, and I learned a new term on nicknames for rocket launchers now. So Gyllenhaal in here calls them boomsticks and butt plugs, meaning the actual launcher is the boomstick and the rockets that you shove in the back end are the butt plugs. That was a really cool and fun term that I never heard be referenced to a rocket launch before, and I completely lost it in the theater. It was one of the funniest things I ever heard Gyllenhaal say, and he performed it so well. Like, he was such a straight face going through this. It was like 30 things on this list that he was just rambling off with different nicknames for each other. But when he got to the rocket launcher part, that's where I really lost it. I was like, Jesus, I didn't think of that as a nickname for a rocket launcher, but that was pretty creative by Guy Ritchie for sure. In regards to like Guy Ritchie's filmography, this one's not like super high on the list, but I did really enjoy it. I mean, probably one of my favorite film of his is probably, let me pull up his filmography here. I haven't really memorized Guy Ritchie's movies. My favorite has got to be, what do we got here? We got The Gentleman. Oh, that's pretty high up there. I really like The Gentleman. I actually really like the King Arthur one that he did. I know a lot of people didn't. Man from U.N.C.L.E. is really awesome. I like the Sherlock Holmes. Man, it actually might be either The Gentleman or the first Sherlock Holmes film as my favorite Guy Ritchie. I think I'm going to pull the trigger, and I'm going to go with Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes, and then probably The Gentleman afterwards, and then probably Man from U.N.C.L.E., King Arthur. I mean, I really like Aladdin too, but I think Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law is probably my favorite Guy Ritchie film. It's really, really awesome. I highly encourage you guys to dive into Guy Ritchie's world with all his films. He's got a unique style, and I know every director has a unique style that kind of separates them from everybody, but Guy Ritchie has such a specific style to where you put on this movie, you're like, yeah, that's totally a Guy Ritchie movie. Like, he's doing this, and this, and this. So we're going to have to do like a Guy Ritchie season on the podcast because there's a lot of great films in here. Like The Gentleman, Man from U.N.C.L.E., Sherlock Holmes. I mean, The Covenant we reviewed on here. But The Gentleman's really awesome. I really love that movie. I watched it, a couple weeks leading up into The Gray. That way you can kind of get into the Guy Ritchie mood. But yeah, we definitely need a Guy Ritchie season on the show. Maybe next year we'll put that on the schedule. But lastly, popcorn rating. I'm giving it, let's pull it up here in The Gray. I'm giving it 4 popcorns. Now, that probably sounds a little less than how I'm hyping it up, but the ending was actually kind of predictable. You when they're going through the 3 phases of, this is the hardest route, this is the middle hardest route, this is the hardest one of all. You know right at the bat, they're going to end up being forced to go to the hardest route. The ending was kind of predictable in how it ended, but it's the journey that got us there that really was entertaining. So I'm giving it 4 popcorns. Like I said, it's not super high on the Guy Ritchie rankings, but I really enjoyed it for what it is. So it's a fun action buddy comedy type of movie. So go ahead and check out In the Gray in theaters now. Just out of curiosity before we move on, what is it doing at the box office? So it looks like it's only made about 3.3 million worldwide. Of course, it just came out on, I think it was Friday. So we'll see, because now we have the Mandalorian Grogu coming up. It could, get washed away, but either way, this will be a big streaming movie to watch when it comes out. So check out In the Gray today in theaters, or if you really want to, wait for it to hit one of the streaming services, which it will. But it's really fun. I really enjoyed it, so check it out. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into our feature film of the day, Mortal Kombat 2. This episode is brought to you by Dubby Energy. Still drinking energy that quits before you do? Stop crashing, stop shaking, and start performing. Meet Dubby Energy, clean energy made for gamers, creators, and anyone who refuses to slow down. With 0 sugar, no jitters, and no crash, Dubby keeps you locked in whether you're grinding ranked, streaming for hours, or pushing through those late nights. There's no crash, no fade, just gas. Drink different, perform better. Grab Dubby Energy and use code Cinematic10 to get 10% off your order today.
Uno mas, thanks, Ed.
Seem a little down, Johnny. You're normally a little more animated.
Finish him! Johnny Cage, Kitana, Shao Kahn, Liu Kang, Jade, Jax, Sonya, Sindel,
Whoa! Fight!
Raiden, Kung Lao, Shang Tsung, Baraka, Quan Chi, Scorpion, Bihan, Kano,
Let's fucking go! Mortal Kombat 2.
So Mortal Kombat 2 came out on May 8th, 2026, so a little over a week ago. Looks like it had a budget of about $68 million, so not terrible. And so far it's grossed to over $100 million. So it's already in profit range, which is really good coming off of its first week. Now it has the Mandalorian Grogu going up against it, so it could be a tough act to follow, but it's really good. I enjoyed this film. This, of course, is a sequel to the 2021 kind of like reboot of the franchise in the film side for the Mortal Kombat. We, of course, got those two movies back in the 90s, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which we'll talk about a little bit when we go through the rankings later to wrap things up at the end of the episode. But focusing on Mortal Kombat 2, really, really liked it. This is where we get introduced to Johnny Cage, who is kind of a fan favorite, who's kind of not a fan favorite, depending on what sort of Mortal Kombat fan you are. I enjoyed Johnny Cage in the video games. You know, I played him a lot. I think my go-to, though, in the games was Liu Kang a lot. But I did play a lot of Kano and Scorpion a lot, too. So, but Johnny Cage was a character that I was super excited to see in this new reimagination of it. I wasn't a big fan of Johnny Cage in the 90s movies. I was more of a Liu Kang fan in those, but when I heard Carl Urban was being cast as Johnny Cage, I was like, oh, hell yes. I'm super excited for this, and it's one of the movies that I've been really looking forward to watching, and it exceeded my expectations. Like, this was a blast to have in the theater with a large group of Mortal Kombat fans, just getting excited for all the fatalities, all the fighting in the tournaments. Carl Urban doing his thing, you know, being Carl Urban, but also, you know, bringing his version of Johnny Cage to life, which was fantastic. You know, we're going to talk about Carl Urban a lot in this episode, but we'll talk about the cast too, because everybody did a great job in here. I don't think I would have recasted really anybody in this. I think everybody was on screen for the right time. They brought their best performance for whatever character they were. It was just a real blast to watch this on the biggest screen possible with the loudest sound. And it was just awesome. So the synopsis for this second one, we have our heroes are pitted against another army led by Shao Kahn in this, you know, world demanding combat tournament where, you know, they have five, I think it's, if I remember right, it's 5 contestants on each side. So you have to win. You have to eliminate the other team's guys first. So we have Johnny Cage, you have Sonya, you have Jax, you have Liu Kang, Kano, led by Lord Raiden. Then you have Shao Kahn, who does a lot of the fighting on his team, but you do get Kitana, who is actually secretly on the champion side of Earth. You have Jade, you have Shang Tsung, I think is how you say it. And you have Quan Chi, Bihan, and Scorpion show up in the netherworld. So they get to return there. Kung Lao has been raised to the dead to join Shao Kahn's team. And then you have Cole Young from the first movie coming back as well as a champion. We get introduced to Baraka, who is not really in the tournament, but he ends up being really good friends with Johnny Cage. So they're a really fun fight. That scene in there is hilarious, where Johnny Cage is trying all he can to fight Baraka, and he finally, you know, channels his inner, you know, fighter in him. And that scene where he's twirling the arms with Baraka, and he has that really, really smirky smile, you know, like, hey, check out what I'm doing. It's really fun. Johnny Cage is the best part of this movie by far. Carl Urban is so good. So speaking of Johnny Cage, let's kind of roll through the cast here before we get into all the notes and categories today. So Johnny Cage, like I said, played Carl Urban. Carl Urban is is an actor that I really, really love. You know, he's on The Boys right now, final season of The Boys as Billy Butcher. Love him in there. First thing I ever saw him in was Lord of the Rings as Éomer, part of the Rohan country. And he's been in a bunch of other things. There was a show that my dad and I used to watch. I think it was called Almost Human, which we really enjoyed. Yeah, it was a TV series. It ran for about 10 episodes, called Almost Human, with Carl Urban and Michael Ealy, where Ealy was this android partner teaming up with this cop played by Carl Urban. It was I can't remember what channel it was on, but my dad and I really, really enjoyed it. And it ended up getting canceled really, really early on, of course, because they only had 13 seasons. But that's where I really started to fall in love with Carl Urban, was seeing him in that one. And then he got casted as Billy Butcher in The Boys. And then I really, really liked him. And then now he's Johnny Cage. And, of course, he was Bones in the new J.J. Abrams version of Star Trek. I fell in love with him again. Carl Urban is a national treasure, and he's fantastic. We have Katana, played by Adeline Rudolph. Katana's another one that really surprised me. I really liked her a lot. I liked her iteration of Katana. She's kind of like the main character. You know, we see her father die at the beginning, and it's kind of like leading up to her story. But I think Johnny Cage is the main character in this movie. But he kind of shares the spotlight with Katana a lot. But I really liked her in here. Great performance, great fighting technique. Really good job at bringing Katana into the universe. Then we get the return of Sonya Blade, Jack Briggs, Liu Kang, Cole Young, Lord Raiden from the first film, so a lot of reoccurring ones there. Kung Lao comes back, but he's resurrected, like I said, and fights for Shao Kahn's team. We have Katana's mother, Sindel, Queen Sindel, who is under the control of Shao Kahn, so she is forced to fight our champions of Earth. Quan Chi is like the sorcerer dude from the first movie. I'm not too familiar with him. He's like a necromancer, I guess. And then Shang Tsung, I can never pronounce his name either. He was in the first movie. He's kind of another necromancer-like character too. Then Shao Kahn returns, or doesn't return, but he's brought to this iteration of the Mortal Kombat franchise. He did a fantastic job. Like the way he looked, the way he acted, performed, he was really good at Shao Kahn. Martin Ford plays him. Fantastic Shao Kahn. Really, really liked him. Far superior to the one back in the 90s, which it was the 90s, so those movies altogether aren't great. But he did a really, really good job at being Shao Kahn. And then Kano is resurrected, and he kind of does his thing again where he bounces back and forth between sides. He ends up joining our champions, teaming up with Johnny Cage a lot at the end of the movie. But he's fantastic. He was like the comedic relief aside from Johnny Cage, who was just kind of doing Carl Urban things. But Kano was really hilarious, really energetic, and just a real piece of shit, but in a good way. But he was really, really fun to see on screen. Then Baraka, a character that everybody's been wanting to see in here. Fantastic job there with the makeup and shooting the bone claw things at Johnny Cage, and that whole fight scene was really awesome. And then Sub-Zero, but he's called Bihan in here, is resurrected. Same thing with Scorpion when they fight each other in the Netherworld. But Bihan's kind of like I can't remember. My Mortal Kombat knowledge is very lacking today, but he like splits off into like this shadow Sub-Zero, which I remember seeing in a game. And it was really, really cool that they brought that aspect into this movie for him to fight Scorpion, Johnny Cage, and Kano. And Scorpion is awesome. Hiro Sanada, who is my favorite Japanese actor of all time. He's fantastic as Scorpion. You know, he does his classic "get over here." He doesn't get a whole lot to do in this one. I think he got a lot to do in the first movie, so he's kind of more of a CD character in here. But it was great to see Sanada play Scorpion once again. Really, really awesome. You got to have a Sub-Zero Scorpion fight. It's just rule number one in a Mortal Kombat movie. So that wraps up the cast part there. It's quite an extensive cast. Of course, quite a few of them die. Cole Young dies. Liu Kang dies. Jax Briggs dies. And Kung Lao dies again. So really making room for more characters in the future. You know, we have this new team: Johnny Cage, Sonya, Katana. You still have Lord Raiden. You have Kano there, so they're gonna go try to get their friends back from the other world that they were sent to after their death. So, but it made sense, you know, with the large number of characters in the Mortal Kombat universe, you got to start killing a bunch of them off to make room for more. So it made sense for characters like Cole Young, Liu Kang, and Jax to get killed off in this movie. And we can bring them back, you know, because they've already brought Kano and Liu Kang back. So it is possible, or Kung Lao, I mean. But it makes so much sense that you're just going to have to start killing these guys off to make room for the extensive roster that is Mortal Kombat. The tournament itself is really, really awesome. And it gets back to what a Mortal Kombat game is. It's a tournament. It's fighting. You know, the first movie it had the tournament to it, but it was more about the outside of the tournament. This one really focuses on the tournament, and it's just fight after fight after fight after fight. It's just really action-packed, and it's what a Mortal Kombat movie should be. Just action from start to finish. Just jam-pack that crap in there. The fights were great. The finishes were awesome, like Katana's finish on Shao Kahn at the end of the game, at the end of the movie, was so video gamey. It was freaking awesome. The finish that Liu Kang did on Kung Lao with, you know, killing him with his own hat was freaking cool. Johnny Cage finally channeling his power and doing that on Bihan at the end of the movie was awesome. So just the fights and the finishes were really good. We even get Shao Kahn yelling "finish him" when Katana fights Johnny Cage at the beginning of the movie. It was really, really awesome. It reminded me so much of the Mortal Kombat games, and that's what these should do. These movies should remind you and make you feel like you are watching the game. And that's what this movie does the absolute best out of all of these, is make you feel like you are watching a Mortal Kombat game on screen. It's really, really awesome. And if you haven't heard yet, Mortal Kombat 3 is already in development. Looks like the adventure story will be to find the lost heroes, like Raiden says at the end of the movie. He says, "Let's go find our friends." That seems to be the logical next storyline with Mortal Kombat 3, is them traveling from world to world to get their friends back after this tournament. So Mortal Kombat 3 is coming. We're going to get way more characters, I'm sure. We're going to get recurring characters like Sonya, Katana, Johnny Cage. So it's going to be really, really awesome. All right, let's get into the potential iconic scenes, because this movie just came out. So what is going to be an iconic scene when you hear the title Mortal Kombat 2 in the future? So here's some nominees here, and then I'll give you my most iconic scene. So we have the Johnny Cage versus Katana fight at the beginning. Really awesome. You know, this is right at the beginning where Johnny Cage doesn't know what the hell is going on. He's kind of just trying to dodge and run away from Katana. But it was really, really awesome to see Katana just unleashed on somebody and see what she's capable of. Then we have Johnny Cage versus Baraka, which is where he starts to discover what his special skill is. He starts channeling, you know, his choreography back when he was a movie star. And it kind of goes to his benefit because he's able to beat Baraka. It's really, really fun, where it starts off pretty rough, where Baraka's throwing him through the huts and just beating the crap out of him. But then he figures out that he can use his choreography from his movies to kind of trick Baraka. And that's, we get, like I said before, you get that scene where he's twirling the arms, and then you get that really smart-ass smile from Johnny Cage, like, "Hey, look what I can do." He does the flip, and then he punches Baraka in the nuts, which is pretty cool. We get the Liu Kang versus Kung Lao fight, which is awesome. You have Kung Lao throwing his saw hat at Liu Kang, and he's dodging it. He's lighting it on fire. Then eventually Liu Kang kills Kung Lao once more by slamming his ass down on his own hat and basically shredding his guts. Then we get the Scorpion, Kano, Johnny Cage versus Sub-Zero or Bihan fight in the Netherworld. Really, really awesome to see the special effects with Bihan's splitting into two beings and fighting all three guys at once. Then you have the Shao Kahn versus Katana fight at the very end, where Katana summons her strength and just annihilates Shao Kahn at the end, where she's spinning her fan duster things and just saws his head basically off. It was really, really awesome. So the most iconic scene the scene that I think of the most when I hear Mortal Kombat 2, I think it's that Johnny Cage versus Baraka fight. That's just branded into my brain of Johnny Cage acting like a freaking idiot, trying to not die, and then realizing that he can use his movie choreography to fight Baraka and trick him and throw him off guard. And that smile, that smart ass smile when he's twirling his arm is just branded in my head. So Johnny Cage versus Baraka is my potential iconic scene. Write down in the comments below what you think the iconic scene will be in the next 5-10 years when you hear the title Mortal Kombat 2. Favorite quotes? Not too many because this movie just came out and it's hard to process all these. A lot of these are Johnny Cage quotes. So we'll start off with those, and then there's a couple characters that I added in there. Johnny Cage, just incredibly handsome. It's showtime. It's not some I'm not some champion. I don't have transformer arms, and I don't shoot lightning bolts. This shit's got nothing to do with me. I'm an actor, and he says that a lot. I'm just an actor. Shao Kahn yelling, finish him. Scorpion, get over here. And then Kano. These ones, I think I got them right. It's hard to remember because he throws so many lines out. But I remember there one being about Voldemort and one of them being about Gollum. So I think I got these right where he goes, Voldemort's a nutsack and Gollum looking motherfucker. Or Gollum looking fucker. His quotes were the best. The way he was making fun of Quan Chi on how he looked. It was freaking hilarious. And these two, of course, were referring to him. But I think my favorite quote is probably it's showtime. You know, it's iconic. It's Johnny Cage's line, and Carl Urban does it so well. So I think it's showtime is my favorite quote in here. But Voldemort's nutsack and Gollum looking fucker is right up there, though, with them. And then I have some couple of fun facts to kind of wrap things up before we get into the ranking. Though the name is not used in the movie, the reborn Shadow version of Bi-Han, formerly Sub-Zero, is named Noob Saibot, which I remember now reading that in the video games. This is Tobias Boone, spelled backwards. Ed Boon and John Tobias, of course, were the creators of the Mortal Kombat game series. So Noob Saibot is the Bi-Han in this movie, where he is like a shadow version of himself. Cody Rhodes was reportedly considered for the role of Johnny Cage, but instead he is now in Street Fighter, which will be coming out later this year, and Carl Urban was cast as Johnny Cage. Fans suggested Chris Evans, Scott Eastwood, and Stephen Amell for Johnny Cage. Stephen Amell, of course, played Green Arrow in the Arrow CW show. Scott Eastwood, probably most famous for being in the Fast and Furious franchise as Little Nobody. And then Chris Evans, of course, everybody knows who Chris Evans is, Mr. Captain America himself. Ed Boon reportedly expressed interest in Dwayne Johnson playing Shao Kahn, and I'm glad they did not, because that would not be good. We don't need to put The Rock in everything. I think Martin Ford did a fantastic job, so I'm glad it didn't go down that route. And then this film is said to introduce the romance between Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade, which we kind of got a little hint of it towards the end of the movie. We'll see if they dive deeper into that romance in the third movie. So yeah, I really like this movie. It was a blast. It was like watching the Mortal Kombat game. You know, I'm not too versed in the Mortal Kombat lore. I played, a bunch of the games, throughout my 30-plus year life, but it's a franchise I'm like a diehard. I was never really big into the fighter games, but Mortal Kombat's one that I always found myself, grabbing the controller and just fighting people, mostly my two brothers who really, really like it throughout. But I really liked the films, especially the 2021. I really liked it. It was a nice, fresh take on the Mortal Kombat film franchise, whereas the two in the 90s were pretty good for the time period, but they're really outdated. I just watched them in kind of preparation for the podcast and really don't really hold up as great. But we have Mortal Kombat 2, which I think is in the right direction. Like, they could do 5 or 6 more of these if they do it right. But I was really, really impressed with this. It exceeded my expectations. I was super excited going into it, and it just blew my mind for sure. So really, really awesome. Excited that this landed the plane, and Carl Urban was fantastic in here. I absolutely love him. So let's wrap things up with the rankings. You could probably guess how I'm going to rank this movie, but let's head over there to wrap things up. All right, so first we will go through the Mortal Kombat ranking, and then we'll do the Blockbuster Showdown Best in Show, and then we'll wrap it up with the popcorn rating. So, rankings for the Mortal Kombat film universe. 5 of them. Number 5, Mortal Kombat Legacy. This was their attempt back in 2011 to make a more modernized version of Mortal Kombat. This was like 19 or 20 episodes. I didn't watch it when it came out. I watched it years later. It was okay, not great. So that comes in at last at number 5. Number 4, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. This was the sequel to the 1995 Mortal Kombat. This one was okay, not great either, but it's still fun to see, you know, Shao Kahn and other characters that we didn't see in the original movie. They did recast Raiden. Christopher Lambert played Raiden in the first film. They ended up recasting him with, who did they end up recasting him with? James Remar, who I've seen in a few things as well. But Mortal Kombat Annihilation comes in at number 4. Number 3, this is where I put the 1995 Mortal Kombat film. I enjoyed this one. This is pretty fun. Still holds up okay-ish all these years later. This is definitely the better of the two that we got in the 90s. Like I said, Christopher Lambert plays Lord Raiden. You have Liu Kang in there. Johnny Cage is introduced. Sonya Blade's in there. Katana's in there. Kano's in there. Scorpion. You know, you get all the classic characters, but, you know, not the greatest film in the world, but I enjoyed it for what it is. Number 2, this is where the 2021 Mortal Kombat reboot comes in. This was one of those during COVID that was straight to HBO Max. My dad and I watched this when it came out. It was really awesome. We enjoyed it. This new iteration, you know, this was the rated R, and it was like a hard rated R, whereas the previous 90 ones was PG-13, and they kind of, you know, tiptoed on the line between PG-13 and rated R in those. But this was like, we're doing this rated R. We're doing this game justice, and it needed that hard R because of the blood, the gore, the language. They needed that, and they did a really good job at setting up this new reimagining of the Mortal Kombat universe in the films, and then Mortal Kombat 2, which comes in at number 1. Surprise, surprise! Just does everything that the movie kind of set up and just does it way better. It's really, really awesome. So Mortal Kombat 2 comes in at number 1 as the best Mortal Kombat iteration on film. So that's the rankings there. Blockbuster Showdown. So we're pitting the first movie, Mortal Kombat 2021 versus Mortal Kombat 2. The winner, of course, is Mortal Kombat 2. It's a far superior film. It took the best parts of the first film and made it better. It ran with it. It's like, hey, what can we improve on? You know, we got Carl Urban here as Johnny Cage. Let's just unleash him. Let's unleash Kano. Let's get more ridiculous with his jokes and his comments and his character. It just took everything that worked well with the first movie and just took it and just made it all better as a whole movie. So the sequel is the winner of the Blockbuster Showdown today. Best in Show. This is a little bit tough, but we do have a winner. But here's the nominees. We have Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, Adeline Rudolph as Katana, and of course Josh Lawson as Kano. This was tough. You know, it was between Johnny Cage and Kano, but I'm going with Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. He is the best in show. He stole the show. He is the star of this. This movie, I don't think, is as well as it is without Carl Urban. Carl Urban just brings something special to the screen as Johnny Cage. It was really entertaining, really fun. It's a character that you can root for. Carl Urban just smashed it out of the park. So he is the winner of Best in Show for Mortal Kombat 2. And then the popcorn rating. I wanted to go golden here, but I just couldn't. So I'm going to stick with 5 popcorns for Mortal Kombat 2. I couldn't quite get to the golden popcorn level. Maybe Mortal Kombat 3 will get there. Maybe this is the best that we will get from Mortal Kombat is 5 popcorns. But that's still a really, really good rating for this film. I'm very excited about it. Really enjoyed it. It's definitely in consideration for top 5 films of the year when we get to the cinematic rewards at the end. But 5 popcorns for Mortal Kombat 2, I think, is right where it needs to be. So that's going to do it for today's new release of Mortal Kombat 2. We got a jam-packed schedule coming up here. We got the Mandalorian Grogu coming out. We've got a Daredevil Punisher-filled Marvel episode coming out later this week. Then we'll get into what else is on the Marvel schedule? Let me pull that up here. So after, because we're going a little bit out of order with the Daredevil one, with Daredevil season 2 wrapping up here with the finale, I wanted to just do a whole big Daredevil Punisher episode right around the release of the Punisher special and the season 2 finale of Born Again. So that's where we're going to go a little bit out of order. Then we're going to do Shang-Chi, that film. Then we'll do the Eternals. Then we'll do the Hawkeye series. And then we'll get to Spider-Man No Way Home, which is the one I've been really looking forward to. We'll see if it can take the number 1 spot again from Deadpool and Wolverine after another rewatch. But that'll be our Marvel schedule coming up. We've got Scary Movie 6 coming out, so we'll do an episode on that. Next week is pretty big. You got the Masters of the Universe movie, and you've got Scary Movie 6. So we're going to talk about both of those films on the Scary Movie 6 episode. We're going to go rank all the scary movies. We'll even talk about some of the other parody movies that came out, like Epic Movie, Superhero Movie. So it's going to be fun. We got a lot of fun episodes coming. I just posted the other day about the July special event on the show. We're going to be reviewing Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. Both those episodes will come out on July 4th. Part 1 will be Top Gun. Part 2 will be Top Gun Maverick. In celebration of the 250 years of the US of A. So I figured, what movie would best fit for this year? And I'm going with Top Gun. Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. It's going to be a really, really fun 2-part event coming out on July 4th. Then we'll do some other events throughout the year. I got another one lined up in July. You could probably guess with the big movie that's coming out in July what that's going to be, but I'll post that later on when we get a little bit closer. But so yeah, a lot of stuff coming on the schedule. We got Avengers Doomsday at the end of the year. We got Dune 3. So we got Doomsday in December. It's going to be really, really awesome. Street Fighter is another one that we'll talk about this fall when that comes out. I think that comes out September. Let me pull it up here so you guys can kind of fit it in your schedule. Comes out on October 16th. So October is going to be a pretty big month because I also released the schedule for the Fright Nights of 2026, where we'll do the found footage season with Paranormal Activity, As Above, So Below, Blair Witch, VHS. It's going to be, October's going to be fun too. A lot of great stuff coming. So check out all those when they come out. Check out all the other episodes I've done so far on the show. Check out the website, cinematic-reviews.com. Set up a profile. Rate Mortal Kombat 2 with the popcorn scale like I just did. Write a review. Check out everybody else's review on there and have fun with it. There's a lot of great stuff, a lot of content. So thank you all for supporting. We'll leave it at that. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you all next time later in the week for the Daredevil Punisher event. Later, guys.